Hey everybody, welcome to my Candy home office. My name is Lisa Gareau and I am the founder of Candy Event Consulting, and I am here with the amazing Pam Fleming. Welcome this morning. So glad that we're having this chat today.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
It's fun to have you on because we have known each other for about a year and a bit, maybe a little longer than that, in the context of you taking a course at the Mount Royal University here in Calgary. And it's the event management course there. And from what I understand, you've already made it through the course and you've taken on some new projects right now. What are you working on in events right now?
Well, right now I'm working with you in the CAT program, and unfortunately, I finished my certificate at the end of April, and so the opportunities in event management weren't forthcoming, so to
Yeah.
speak. But I am also working collaboratively with YYC Food Trucks, and we've just started a relationship there and trying to help them get a little more recognition in the city and come up with some ideas with them, and just working collaboratively with them to try and boost their business a little bit. So I'm really quite enjoying that because finally I get to be back in doing something that I enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting when COVID kind of changed the game for all of us in events last year. One of the conversations we were having with one client, she was working for a nonprofit, and she said, even though events are done, it doesn't mean the need goes away. And the fact that even in business, you have to keep selling, and with the food trucks, you still have to keep innovating and creating and having opportunities. And I think for a lot of us, there was that oh my gosh, what's going to happen, and then trying to navigate that we can't stop, and even in the middle of really having to pull back a lot of creative event ideas, and some of the events that are already going, and everything's shutting down from small to enormous events that had to be canceled. We're all feeling it, and whether you're watching from here in Calgary or anywhere around the world, the idea of events and event planning has changed. And even in the course that you took through the Mount Royal University, a lot of the discussions now are about what's next too. And so this idea of event planners really taking their time to find a niche or learn more. What has that shift for you? Because you're saying now with some of the work that you're doing, with the YYC food trucks, and maybe I know some other little projects on the way. And what is it for you that you love about events that is kind of keeping you in the game? Because you haven't given it totally up yet. So what's keeping you
No.
going?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether it's the way I want to go. I have some experience, and now I have some education, but like you said, events has changed so much that it's not what I recognize it, and so it's whether I want to change with it or not.
Yeah.
And so what I love about events is the collaboration and the teamwork. First and foremost, and working with people and together and coming together collectively as a group. I have a lot of experience in sports and team sports in my youth, and so I love that teamwork experience and collaboration. And the other thing that really excites me about events is I get to use all of my skills, my multiple skills. I don't just have to focus on one thing. I get to use my strengths creatively. I get to use my strengths financially. I get to use my strengths with communication and customer service. It's just, there's a vast array of skills that I can use daily, and they do change daily, which I like. Some people might think that's crazy, but I enjoy that.
And that's what a lot of people say about event planning, that the variety and the transferable skills. So you might have had wearing different hats over the years, and how you apply those skills. And I think for many of us, it's really about digging even a little deeper and saying, what else do I love? And what else is really, what else lights me up that I can really be integrating into what events mean? And I think in many, many ways, the reinvention of events is maybe partially painful But at the same time, there is such a huge opportunity for us to understand ourselves better, and for us to really see not just how events will change, but how we're going to change with it. And I think you just mentioned that are we willing to go there? Are we willing to be sort of in that space where we're going to not just duck and weave so that we don't get hit, but that we're really finding these
Yeah.
opportunities to reach out and reach inside for something new. And I think what you've done now is you seem very observant, and you're watching, and you're finding ways to kind of integrate this here and add that there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a challenge. And I'm not sure how much I'm inclined to those changes. But, events for me was such a visceral experience for people too, and an emotional experience. And I mean, events and event professionals work very hard to capture all five senses in a way at many events. I mean, there's all sorts of different events, but more the ones that I was involved in was trying to capture that whole feeling. And if we're not able to do that traditionally the way we used to, it knocks me back a little bit, but I guess in another sense, it's a challenge, right? To try and make up for that some other way.
Yeah.
And
And also
I think,
to not give up the dream of having events that touch
right,
all senses. Like, I love that, because I think that's the point, is that we're not just all holding our breath and just seeing each other on Zoom, for example, but that there can be a way to ignite all our senses in different ways. It just has to look different. I love that. Thank you for that. And you did mention at the beginning that you had joined what it's called, the CAT team here in Candy. And so about, just for context, for those of you that don't know, about 10 years ago, I started something called the Candy Academy Action Team. And what that is, it's really the gathering of about 8 or 10, either new or upcoming or already rock star event planners that just want to get connected with the team, and that want to get their hands into something, get their hands into planning and learning together. And that encouragement that happens, like you were saying earlier about teams, Pam, that it happens differently when you're in a community of others that are like-minded. And so I believe very strongly in the value of teams, and not just your planning team, but getting yourself around people that that have a different perspective, that have a different way of doing things, that might have other resources. All of that matters when we are planning and promoting events, because the truth is, and I think I put that on my post, it takes a community to raise a child. And I said it takes a community to plan an event. And it's just the nature of it. And we can't expect to do everything ourselves. And so I'm so glad that you were on that team, Pam. We just started like a week ago, a week ago with the new team, and we'll be continuing on for a few months. And I just really, looking at the next, which I put up here, the next short guides to learning that's happening on February 10th, and talking to you guys on the team, on the CAT team, it was almost like this is actually living proof of where people come together, and the value of not just onboarding a great team, but that there's a motivation factor. And when you're talking, Pam, about that five senses, how do we do that within a team so that actually starts to manifest itself in some of the projects and the work that we're going to do? Because I do believe that the five senses one person will feel it in a certain way, and another person will maybe want to have something more tactile. So there's something about having this group together that for me is super exciting. And for those of you watching, we are having that next short guides to learning, which is the short guide to motivating your team, on February the 10th. So make sure that you sign up. There'll be a link below. But I do want to chat with you a bit more, Pam, about what team means to you. So what does it mean for you? What energizes you when you're working within a team? I think you touched on it a little earlier, but tell us a little bit more about what is it like for you to work on a team, and what energizes you when you're working with others?
Yeah, I think so. Energizing is a pretty specific word, because a lot of times you'll get into working and focus and drive and determination. But for energize, I had to think that it's passion. Like when you, and that's another thing about the direction that events is going in is, are you actually seeing somebody working and passionate about what they do, and experiencing that live or experiencing that on Zoom? How do we get that to come through? Because that's what energizes me. And then I hope that that is paid forward, and that when someone sees or listens or hears me at work, that energizes them too, because they can see how passionate I am about what I'm doing and how
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
Well, and it is contagious, right? Like I think you had said that before, but this idea of and it's almost, I don't want to say responsibility in kind of a heavy way, but that if we show up and we're putting everything we've got into not just doing the work, but really um, watching for those moments of connection, watching for those where we can really interject what we love and how what lights us up. I think that that's where people start to feel, oh my gosh, like I'd love to have a taste of that. And then they start digging a little deeper and wanting to sort of either live and work with passion within that team. And a lot of us, maybe growing up or maybe through certain roles we've had where that's been kind of boxed up or squelched, or there's, you don't really have a lot of room to move, or it's not about the passion, like you say, it's more about the work and getting the work done and the results from that work. I believe so much that that goes hand in hand. And so I love that you brought that up, that it's, and being energized isn't just about checking off the boxes and getting to the end of the task list, that there's something more that's happening there. Would love to chat with you too about how you then motivate some of your team members. So if you're working or maybe even leading a team, how do you find, what does motivation, I guess, mean to you? Because that's different kind of for every individual and every leader, but how have you felt that it has worked for your either role as a team member or as a team lead?
Yeah, I think it's easy as an event coordinator to just, like you said, check off the boxes. Oh, I talked to so and so. I talked to so and so. I got this appointment made. I got this agenda done. But I think you need to make connections, and I like to, and I'm also genuinely a curious person. So I like to know, how this person, what they do in their normal job. I ask them about what they do and how they do it, and how it all comes together. I'm very curious, and actually that helps me in the end too. But I think it shows them that I value what they do, and that it matters, and it matters to the final goal of the event, whether how small the job is or how big of a component it is. Whatever they do is an integral part of an event, and it matters to me. So if I question them and show interest in that, I think that helps for sure.
And who doesn't want to be seen, honestly? Because I think when you get on a team, I talked to a friend of mine and we were talking about older adults and people in retirements and how they join committees, and it was quite, and maybe it's a generational thing as well. But he was talking about how so often we kind of say, well, Jim's really good at this and Nancy's really good at that, and why don't we get that guy to do this? And they all come together and they just start working. And sometimes there's that the misstep of not really seeing the person and everything that they want to bring to the table, not just that one job that they might be really good at, that what else can they be adding to not just the energy of the work and the planning, but I also think in the growth of the team. And when you're saying about talking to somebody individually, what a beautiful way to approach leadership and to motivate your team. I know that I would feel more motivated if someone actually sat down and talked about my life and wanted to get to know me a bit better, and know what actually motivates me, because it'll be different for each one on your team. Doesn't matter what event you're planning, but there are so many ways that people want to show up, but if they're not seen or not heard, they might just kind of hang back and just do the job and get the minimal part of what they need to do done, which isn't really where you're going to see long-term engagement with your team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't miss anyone, in a sense. You really have to make that effort to reach out to everyone, from caretaking to the flashy audiovisual to the, the caterers, there's just so many people involved, and they all play a valuable part.
And it's a really great point that it's not just your planning team that's actually doing the organization, like you're alluding to here, that there's many vendors and partners and sponsors that are investing. It's just as important to consider that event.
I've lost you a little bit here, Lisa, but maybe it'll come back. Can you hear me okay?
Who knows, right? But this idea of teamwork in 2021, what do you think might be, what will that look like? How will we have to change? What's exciting? I don't know, what's your prediction for teamwork in 2021?
For teamwork, well, I'm trying to remain positive, and I know that once event coordinators are given the green go, it's going to be amazing. I mean, there's going to be so many people just excited to be out there, and the creativity is going to flow, and I think it's going to be good. If it doesn't open up quite as much, it'll be different. I mean, there is a space for virtual events for sure. I've seen a positivity from that as well. So yeah, it'll be a challenge, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, whether I want to adopt that challenge and take that on, or stick with my traditional thoughts and skills and whatnot. But yeah, I think either way, there'll be a place for both, and it'll be a challenge for us to figure out when to use what and in what situation and what circumstance. Yeah.
Well, and it's a really good point, I think, on not having to do everything at once, right? Like we'll know, like if there's this challenge, what do we need to be adding, or what kind of team is going to be able to meet that challenge? I've known, I've had friends over the last bunch of years that have had incredible tech skills, for example. And I tell you, I'm leaning into what do they mean for our team to really have them as part of a team. It's a completely different way of looking at the makeup of a team now. But what we were talking about earlier, this idea of the connection between people and talking to a person, not just a team. What does energy mean within a team? All of that actually, I think, still matters. I think 2021 will just be a test of that. And I truly believe that we are, when we are in a position of leadership and we're leading a team, that there is that we have to find ways, and whether we stay in the game forever, sort of the event planning world forever, or if there is a leadership around fit for your team, like kind of doing the adjustments within your team, or onboarding new people. That's also where we can't be stuck and always kind of be looking to the same types of people or the types of skills that worked in the past. So totally appreciate what you're saying on that.
Yeah, we'll be, either way, the event industry will be creating new niches for different industries and employment, and probably everything from home design, making your background look good. We're all
which makes somebody with that. There.
Somebody staging my house, moving my peanut butter jar out of the way, to the tech people, like you said. I mean, I think that's going to be very important, because there's nothing worse than your Wi-Fi going out or your Zoom not working or the audio or whatever, right? So yeah, there'll be a lot of new niches.
Say that again, sorry.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of new niches, I think, in the event industry.
Yeah, exactly. So glad for the chance to talk. I'm so thrilled that you're part of the CAT team. For those of you that don't know, you can find more information about the Candy Academy Action Team on our website. It's at CandyConsulting.ca /connection. And if you want to join us and talk about what does team look like in 2021, I did put out a little video yesterday, Pam, and what I really wanted to say through that little video about our February 10th session was this idea of sometimes your team members might be saying, I didn't sign up for this. And that they're making it through COVID somehow. Like I said earlier, maybe they're just holding their breath and they're waiting for things to open up again. Maybe they're out until there's face to face. But in the long run, for your business or for your organization or group, if you're out there and you've got a team that is really struggling with this transition, this might be a great session to sit in on, because I'm going to be talking about not just building a team and training your team, but I'm going to be talking about motivating your team, especially in a time of change, because they may really want to be there, but they're not sure what that looks like for them. And the idea of being energized, Pam, like we talked about earlier, the idea of being energized on that team is so critical for you to actually get to the end result, to that event or that campaign, not just intact and still, cohesive as a team, but where you're excited about what that event can be. So hopefully you guys can join us. Thank you so much, Pam, for having this chat with me today. And for the rest of you that would like to sign up, it is free. It's an hour with me online. It's going to be on February the 10th at 11 a.m. Mountain. And you can sign up at CandyConsulting.ca/guides. And the title is Candy's Short Guide to Motivating Your Event Planning Team. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you again, Pam, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care.